Join us, GrindHaus on 42nd Street podcast, where we talk about horror, exploitation, cult, and B movies, and make you feel like you're actually there. Host Gray and Wolfman will break down these movies in a way no one else can, as well as make you laugh, think, and most importantly, remember the better times of cinema. GrindHaus on 42nd Street podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gray, and this is GrindHaus on 42nd Street. I told everybody we had a very special guest for this interview today. Matter of fact, a few days ago when we put out our polls, everyone seemed to show a lot of excitement, and I can hardly contain myself. If you're familiar with the film Terrifier, everyone in that movie is a good actor or actress, but obviously, the one person that stands out. It's the same formula for any major slasher that we've looked up to for all these years, Jason and Freddy and Chucky. And, as time goes on, some movies have seemed to get away from that formula, but it's needed. It is 100% absolutely needed. And today we may have the future in the slasher / monster iconic person. With me today, he's known for Art the Clown. I'm here with David Howard Thornton.
Hey, wow, flattery gets you everywhere.
Oh, we aim to please here.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing my best right now not to melt into a sweaty puddle here in New York City. It's about almost 100 degrees today.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm in the Poconos, so I'm about 2 hours from New York City. And
okay.
Usually up in the mountains, like, it's not that humid, but yeah. Yesterday and today, it's been bad.
Oh, it's just blah.
So, what's going on in New York? Originally, you're not from New York, correct?
Correct. No, I'm originally from Alabama, so I should be used to the heat.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I guess I could deal with it better than most people can. I know some people are just want to keel over and die, but I'm just like, oh yeah, this is what I'm used to in the summer.
So, how long are you in New York for?
I've been here since 2006, about August 2006. So yeah, almost 14 years now.
Okay, so yeah, you're definitely familiar with how New York is, for sure.
Oh yeah, especially the winters.
Yeah. Oh, tell me about it.
That was an eye-opening experience for me because I thought I had my nice warm jacket that I wore in Alabama when it was cold, and I wore that here the first day it got cold. I'm like, nope, this is not warm. This is not a warm jacket.
Need about like 5 of these.
Yeah.
So I want to, obviously I'd like to do these questions in like some kind of an order. But I have to knock out this one first because obviously it's the one that everybody has asked.
Okay. How
much of a pain in the ass is it to apply the prosthetics and makeup for Art the Clown?
Oh, that could be a pain. I think it's more of a pain for Damian to have to do it, though, because he's got to glue all of that to my face. I just sit there and just take it like a man. But It's just like he has to spend all this time just having to just glue it, because it's actually the mask they use, the mold they use for that mask is actually not molded off my face, it's molded off the original Art the Clown's face, Mike Giannelli. So it's like Damian had to kind of squish things just to make it fit my face. He actually did a mold of my face, but he couldn't sculpt it the way that looked like the original sculpt. So he's just like, oh, screw it up, we'll just use the original sculpt and hope for the best. And so far, so good, but it could be he has to line everything up just perfectly and just deal with it that way. But I'd say it's more of a pain to wear
Okay.
because for me it's the mouth area because it's a gelatin mask, so it degrades very easily around the mouth. And because I have a very expressive mouth too.
Yeah.
I have
Uh-huh.
a big mouth, and it stretches out that gelatin, so it rips all the time. And then I also the prosthetic teeth that I wear make me drool, and so that doesn't help the gelatin either. So that breaks it down. So it's like we've gotten where we usually try to film all my close-ups first, so we can get the mask in its best condition before the end of the night.
Right, right.
Yeah, so it can be a little bit of pain. I know there are images going around there also showing me with Q-tips up my nose. I put those up my nose to keep my nose from running into the gelatin because it just breaks it down. We had one night on set where like it broke down so much that like it just started like part of the skin just started like flapping around. In the middle of a scene, it was bad.
I actually saw the Q-tip pictures. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but
yeah,
I'm glad you did.
I love them. I think they're hilarious.
Oh, it's great. It is, and like it's cool because I mentioned earlier, you were on your way to becoming one of the slasher icons, and of course, you've been in other things. I actually, from your IMDb, I noticed that you've played another clown. You actually portrayed the Joker.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that, because those like that. A lot of actors like they say that it's like one role that they wouldn't necessarily want to do because it just seems like a heavy load.
Yeah, no. To me, it's a dream role. It's like that's my favorite villain of all time, and for me, I've always wanted to give a true depiction of the comic book version of him because as great as the different screen versions of him have been, they haven't been true to the comic.
Right.
And that's always driven me crazy. It's like either it's not the looks true to the comic or just the characterization himself is not true to the comic. Like Joaquin Phoenix, his version of the Joker, what he did in the movie was fantastic, but that wasn't the Joker.
No.
It was like, no, that's not Joker at all. He's a master of strategy. He's like 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, the way that Joaquin did it kind of made it feel like a guy who just reached the tipping point. And I know there's been story. See, and that's the thing with the Joker, not just in the films, but in the comics. There's been multiple storylines of like how he came about, where he came from. Was the one from Joaquin's portrayal, was that from Killing Time? What was that from?
That was a little bit of. I would say there's a little bit of a Killing Joke type of. The Killing Joke. There's a little bit of that in there because like that version of his origin had him being a failed stand-up comic.
Correct.
And he had just a very, very bad day. All the stuff happened like in one day where like his wife that was pregnant with their child ended up dying in the bottle warmer or what it is she got exploded and killed her. But he was also contracted to take on the mantle of the Red Hood by this gang because they used different people to be the Red Hood, and he was trying to get money because he was poor and his failed career and stuff like that.
Right.
And so that's how he ended up falling into the vat of acid, and Batman confronted him and stuff like that. So he had a horrible, horrible day. Everything just goes wrong in his life in one day, and he cracks. So it's like, that there's a little bit of the Killing Joke that was in Joker, but even in the Killing Joke, Joker even hints that might not be his true origin. He's sometimes I remember my past one way, sometimes another. If you're going to have a past, I prefer it to be a multiple choice.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
He's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Of his own origin.
It'd be really, and I mean, if a director were to go to one of his actors and say, "Look, for this portrayal, I had this in mind, but if you yourself wanted to add anything or take away something," and that leaves a lot of freedom, But then again, it is an iconic character. Obviously, we saw like how people reacted to Jared Leto's portrayal of him, which I know, I know. It's just, you know,
Oof.
I'm not saying he's a bad actor by any means.
Oh God, no! It's just that was a bad interpretation of the character.
Yeah, I've. It sucks because he's such an iconic character that people will grade him harder because of that. And that's honestly, like, if I was an actor, it's probably one of the roles I wouldn't want to do because, you know, of the failure, you know.
Yeah.
But I watched the YouTube series and you did great. So
Thank you.
Recommend everybody go check that out. I'm going to share the link on our GrindHaus page, but it is
cool.
Nightwing Escalation, correct?
Correct. Yes, I'm in the third season of it, so it's all fan made. So it's like the production value in the first season or so is kind of iffy, but like the third season, that's when things really started to up their game. We got a lot of people involved that had experience. We got better sound and camera crews and stuff like that in there as well. But we're supposed to still finish the show, but it's like I said, it's fan made, so it's like we can only do it when we all can get together and film. And right now we can't even do that because of the virus. So it's
yeah. Oh my God, it's put a hold on everything.
Yeah, who knows if we're ever going to finish it? But it's like I still got a chance to play the character, and I still I dream to be able to play in the future somehow. I especially love to play him on a TV series. That way I could actually have more time with the character than just a 2-hour movie. I actually have like a season or so to really flesh him out and do some fun things with him.
Yeah, I mean the evolution of the TV series over the last 25, 30 years, it's really done a lot for a lot of the characters. And I think that's why if you go back before maybe the year 2000, more people were connected to a TV show as a whole, where later on, more people were connected to the characters that were on those shows. So I agree 100%. If you could portray the Joker, I'd love to see him on a series of some sort to allow more time to build up. So we started with the prosthetics and got there. I have a question.
Okay.
How did you get your start? I know you're an actor, but you've also done voice work and you've done a lot. And when I saw your portrayal of Art, the first thing I actually thought was this guy a mime or a clown at any time in his life? Because your mannerisms are spot on.
Well, I've never been professionally trained as a mime or a clown or anything like that, and I never really did that professionally. But I'm a lifelong student of clowning, I would say. I love the silent films from back in the day, like, Marx Brothers, and Chaplin and Keaton and, all that. I was a huge fan. Like, when I was about 13 or 14, my aunt gave me probably one of the best gifts ever. She gifted me a box set of Mr. Bean videos.
Oh, no way.
And I just sat there and I devoured those. I would watch them over and over and over and over and over because I love that style of acting. I love that type of comedy. Because it transcends, language barriers.
Yeah.
It's like there are people worldwide that are huge Mr. Bean fans because you don't have to have any dialogue in those. You can sit there and watch, and you know exactly what's going on.
But it's very difficult, though, to just be able to portray that with your body movements and your face. I mean, and especially with someone like Art, who is wearing prosthetics and makeup, you have to shine through that to portray, you know what I mean? Like, it's very impressive.
I definitely have to exaggerate things a lot.
Oh,
because, which is weird because, with film, versus stage, because that's where I got all my real training in was stage work, and I think that actually benefited me for this role. But it's like the difference between stage and film is when you do stage work, you have to be bigger with your gestures and your facial expressions because you got to be able to read to the last row in the audience. With film, the camera can pick up every little small thing, so you're usually told to go smaller with gestures. And I was able just to translate what I did on stage to film, because I grew up doing a lot of physical comedy, doing a lot of children's theater.
Okay.
Especially. Yeah. So that's what, that's where I honed those skills all those years ago, and it's just like something I've just been able to do naturally. But I did have a good mentor, I would say, because for 5 years I toured with How the Grinch Stole Christmas the musical. I was Grandpa Who, but I was also the Grinch's understudy in that. And our Grinch was the wonderfully talented Stephen Carl, who played Robbie Rotten on the show called Lazy Town for children.
Oh, okay.
And Stephen was a master at physical comedy. He actually studied clowning, I believe. Okay. And he really helped fine-tune those skills that I've been developing my whole life. But I never had anybody that could actually sit me down and say, okay, you're doing great with this. Here, tweak this here, and it'll make things so much better if you react this way instead of this way and this way and this way. And he made it a lot of that I had just observed. He brought a science to it in a way that made things logical for me. I was like, oh, I see exactly now what I have been doing, and now I know how to improve on that. And I was able to really translate that into art as well. I would say if you watch an episode of Lazy Town or you watch his portrayal of Grinch, you'll see a lot of art, or a lot of him in art.
That, oh my God, now I have to go see it, because it was a children's show, and I don't know if thinking about a psychotic killer clown when watching a children's show is gonna be the first thing I think of, but like you said, you'll see the gestures, the movements, and the expressions, and it'll probably be the first thing that pops in my mind now, especially since you said something. So how would you compare art from All Hallows Eve to your portrayal of art in Terrifier?
I would say he's more physical.
Okay.
That's the one thing I think that's the biggest difference between Mike and I, is I brought more of the a clowning physicality to the role.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously big news online was the teaser trailer for Terrifier 2. My partner actually had a question. He read that there was actually going to be a third one as well, or there's you guys are planning on doing a third one. And
yes.
Do you think this would officially put yourself as the slasher, like Jason, Freddy, the guy from Scream, what up in there? Because you're going to be portraying a fan-loved slasher for multiple movies. I mean, is that something you would want?
Of course. Why wouldn't I want that? That's a life goal for so many people. It's like that's nothing to be upset about. It floors me that people would even think of that for this character. I'm excited. I love that idea.
No, I always appreciate, like, Kane Hodder. Everyone thinks he was the greatest Jason, and he portrayed him multiple times. But there's also some actors out there, when you ask them about something, they're like, oh, well, I've done other things. And it's like, we know, obviously we love your work, but we specifically know you from a certain role, and we love that role. And I wouldn't want, like, I would love, if everybody knew me from one certain thing, I would be fine with it. I just don't get, how certain actors may be upset about that,
I don't get it either. I'm like, I guess it just depends on the actor myself. If that's what I'm known for the rest of my life, so be it. I'm like, I know so many actors. I was one of those actors at one point that would kill to be in this position.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to be known for one role like this. It's like where people are getting tattoos of you and stuff like that. It's like, that in itself is an amazing achievement. I'm like, I never thought I would be somewhere like that. I hoped, but I never thought it. So, I can't be upset about something like that. I mean, of course, I would love to play other roles, and I will play other roles. But, if I'm known for playing art, so be it. I mean, look at Lugosi.
Yeah.
It's like, look at Karloff, just like those guys. And it's like you have so many actors out there that are known for one specific role. You look at like Michael Keaton; he's either known for Beetlejuice or Batman. But people forget he's also a great comedian.
Oh, he's actually. I'm so glad that he's been slowly coming back. I know he took his break for a little bit. He was great, in the Birdman stuff like that. It's I just, like I said, like Robert Englund is the one who comes to mind specifically. And I love, obviously he's been in, other stuff, a lot of horror related stuff. And I think that's cool because, the horror fans are obviously the ones who are going to be flocking to you first. But like you said, if you were known for just being this one iconic character forever, I see no issue with that. Do you think playing art, has that opened any more doors outside of, the horror genre for you?
Not quite yet, I would say. I mean, like, because, it's strangely enough, art's known in the horror community, but the films community in general as a whole is still catching on to, our film. Because, we weren't a big, huge studio release. We're a small, independent, film. So, I'm hoping maybe after part 2 comes out, I start getting a little bit more recognition or something like that. But I mean, I'm getting offers for films and stuff like that right now, which is nice. But they're, horror films. But I'm like, I don't care. It's work.
No,
and
absolutely.
they're fun roles. So I'm like, it's great work. It's great characters I get to play. Sure, whatever. I can't sneeze at it.
I would be excited to see any kind of role. And honestly, like you play a great serial killer. And you play a great, absolutely. And you play a great silent character. I would like to actually see you as what they would call the final girl, but the final guy. Mm-hmm. I would like to see you as like a normal person who has to be put through these adversity. I'd be interested to see your take on that for sure.
Yeah. That would be interesting, but those aren't even really the roles I gravitate towards. I'm more into the character type of roles. I love playing the villains. I love playing like the funny characters, the comic relief, the idiots, and stuff like that. That's the fun stuff. Those are the characters that have got so much meat on them that I love. It's like I like to do like the Doug Jones type of roles.
Okay, yeah.
Or like the Gary Oldman type characters. I'm totally comfortable being a character guy. I remember a few years ago, I was taking an acting class here in New York, and it was with the casting director. And the casting director was going around the room telling us, what type of roles we are right for. And her whole thing is know your type.
Right.
Know what type of roles you should be going out for. And she came to me and she's like, I hope I am not offending you by this. But you are not leading man material. You are the character guy. And I'm like, oh, I know that. I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
Those are the more fun roles anyway. She's like, oh, okay. Because a lot of people get upset about that. They all want to be like the Tom Cruise type characters. I'm like, oh, God, no. Let me be those creepy characters and stuff like that. I like the Clint Howard type of roles.
Yeah. Well, like
those are more like Steve Buscemi and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, let me have those type of roles.
That's I was actually gonna say when you said Oldman, I was gonna say Steve Buscemi. It's at that level, and it's like Sylvester Stallone. Although he's an okay actor, he's made a career. He's made a career playing pretty much the same guy for like 40 years. And I just think it's kind of boring after a while. Where, like you said, like with Gary Oldman, sometimes you can't even recognize him in a role, and I think that is a thing of beauty,
I mean, you look at him in Hannibal, and then you look at him playing Commissioner Gordon, and you're just like, that's the same guy? And then he's Sirius Black and something in Harry Potter, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's incredible. One of our Patreon backers, Gabriel, asked, what was your favorite kill in Terrifier?
Oh, that's a fun question. Good question, Gabriel. Most people think I would say the hacksaw scene, but my personal favorite scene, the kill scene, was the decapitation of the exterminator. Because, first of all, I thought that was a really cool kill. It's a really good decapitation.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to do. And also, I would say it's because it's a fun little Easter egg too. Because the actor that plays him, his film company, Fuss in the Lens Films, he and the two cops are part of that film company. They're also working on part 2 as well for us.
Really?
But yeah, Mike Levy, Jason Levy, and Steve Masala, their company, Fuss in the Lens, they are the guys that started the whole scary clown craze back in 2014.
Yeah.
He was the Staten Island clown that was going around Staten Island just standing out there in a clown suit and scaring the crap out of people. It was before Wrinkles the Clown was doing this. Even though Wrinkles claims he did it first, like, no. They were doing it a year before Wrinkles the Clown.
No way. Oh, my God.
So it's a fun little Easter egg in there that I get to kill the Staten Island clown.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Is this known? Is this, like, known public information? Or you?
Yeah,
okay.
You can Google it. You can look up Staten Island Clown, and they have articles about them and stuff from, like, I think 2014.
But is it known that he was in Terrifier and you actually killed him?
I don't know if it's as well known.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Now, another Patreon backer, Stacy, she said, how did you prepare for this role each day of shooting? Like, every time you're about to sit down and get the prosthetic and makeup on, what's going through your mind when you're about to shoot a scene?
Oh, God. I mean, not a whole lot, really. I'm not one of those, like, method actors or anything like that. It's just like, I usually just sit there and I'm myself. And, and then I ask Damian, so what am I doing right now? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's so much easier, though. I mean, honestly, like, I don't want to rag on method actors, even though we mentioned, like, Jared Leto earlier, but it just seems like if you have to go through all of this to portray a character, how good of an actor are you really, that you can't just turn it off and turn it on? And, of course,
that's something I've always been able to do, is just turn it off, turn it on. Ever since back in my community theater days, I could be having a very serious conversation with myself in the wings. I hear my cue line to go on stage, and as soon as I hit the edge of the stage, I'm that character. It's just my thing is which is kind of weird because I don't do this with Art because he's silent, but like every time I get a new role, the first thing I do is work on the voice, like how he sounds.
Really?
Because I'm a voiceover guy, and that's always been my thing. It's like I always want to do some kind of different voice for every character I play. And once I find the voice, I've found the character itself, and I know where to go with it. And once I know who the character is in my head, I can just turn it on and turn it off at will.
So,
I mean, sometimes it's like an emotional scene. I might need like a few seconds just to get myself into that headspace. Like, okay, I got to be really sad, or I got to be really pissed off right now.
Right.
But other than that, it takes nothing.
And that's crazy because as a voiceover guy, trying to create stuff, especially like if they show you a picture, like, hey, this is a picture of the person that you're voicing. Like, what thoughts do you get in your head? Like, oh, well, he looks like... I can never just look at a character and automatically think, oh, well, he sounds like this. Like, I couldn't do that.
Well, it's a lot of it has to do with, like, I kind of look at just the way that the face is built up, and it's like there are different cues that I can go off of. Like, if he has, like, teeth sticking out, he would probably speak a different way. He's like, they're just different visual cues I go off of, and I'm like, and I sometimes will, like, when I do auditions, I will do a few different variations because I'll think of different possibilities for this character, and I'll just throw them out there.
Yeah,
let's try this, let's try this, let's try this.
And then something sticks, and then you got it.
Yeah, I prefer it when I do have an image, so I know what the character looks like, because that does help me come up with ideas of how that character might speak. But sometimes I don't even get an image, and they're just like, just come up with a voice for a tree. I'm like, okay.
That seems like almost impossible. I mean, for me, you've been doing it, so obviously you're like, yeah, tree, I got it. But
yeah.
Oh, that is incredible. Now I have to go see some of your voice acting stuff.
Yeah, I just happen to like my inner kid, just use that imagination there. It's like, okay, how does this guy sound? And it just go. I one time took a voiceover class with Hendon Walsh, who was like a voice of Starfire on Teen Titans, and she was like Harley Quinn for a while and stuff like that. And she really experimented with me in this class. She's like, I've never done this with anybody else, but I think you could handle this. And she's like, I want to see what you can do here. So she would just throw I was given no script, no visual reference. She's like, I want you to do a voice of this kind of character, like a slime monster, and go. And I would just come up with something right there on the spot. Yeah. She was just throwing characters at me left and right, and I was just bam, 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 bam. It's just, I can just tap into that imagination I have. Plus, I have like Rolodex of voices in my head. Anyway, I have like over 200 voices I do.
Oh my god!
So it's like and sometimes I would just go to that, like characters that are well-known characters, and when I see like one of these characters that they want me to voice, I'm like, okay, this kind resembles this character in some way, so maybe I can take little bits and pieces from that character and put my own stink on it.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, first thing, while you're saying all this, I'm thinking to myself, you need a YouTube channel. Do you have one?
I do. I just don't record a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not your main career and you're busy doing other things, but I'm sure there's tons of people out there who would definitely tune in to see, your process and stuff like that.
I do have some videos on there where I do voices, though.
Okay, awesome. So I can actually go
there's one where I do like 110 impersonations in less than 10 minutes.
Gee. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I did it in 2 takes. It was supposed to be 1 take, but it was when I was doing Grinch, and we had the intercom speaker in our dressing room, and it kept going off, so we'd have to cut.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I did it twice, and we cut the 2 takes together, so we didn't hear the intercom breaking in.
So I saw that the Terrifier 2 has the Indiegogo campaign, correct?
Correct.
And it was set at 50,000?
Yes, originally it was set at 50,000, and we broke that in less than 3 hours, I believe.
That is
it was
awesome.
Insane. We did not expect that. We hit over $200,000 on that campaign, which we did not expect. It was like, because I remember like when we were first planning on what to do with it, like Damian and I were talking about how much we should ask, and I suggested 100,000. He's like, "Oh, there's no way we'll get even near that."
Well, I mean, maybe he was underestimating the success of the first one. I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty big movie.
Yeah, it's like we just didn't really expect people to be so enthusiastic like that. It's like, oh wow, because we tried shopping at different studios at first too, and like people really weren't biting. People were, I guess, afraid to take a risk on a new property or something like that.
Right.
So,
yeah. As of right now, there's 1,230 backers at $215,000. So
wow.
Yeah, that is incredible. Do you guys have? I know with everything going on in the world right now, it's very difficult. But do you guys have any kind of plan for? A release? I know the trailer was released, but do you have any information on that?
Well, actually, I don't know if the trailer's been released yet. I think it's supposed to be released this week, maybe, or by the end of the month.
Oh,
I know Damian's hard. He's hard at work on trying to get it together right now. I've seen a rough cut of it. It's fantastic, so I'm excited.
The Indiegogo campaign.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. That was just us talking.
Right. And amping everybody up and getting us all excited, and
Yeah, that wasn't. It showed nothing from the film. This teaser trailer shows stuff from the film, so it's really fun. But we originally wanted to release in October, but that's just not realistically happening now because the stupid virus.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the virus, it could probably happen, but we still have to finish filming everything. We have just a little bit left to film, like basically, essentially, principal photography is essentially done.
Okay.
So we just have to do a few more inserts here or there, and then everything's got to get edited. I think the thing that's going to take longest is going to be editing things and just trying to shop it out to distribution because we don't have a distributor yet, so we have to find that. So who knows what's going to happen there? But knock on wood. Some people said, "Have you looked at Netflix again?" And I'm like, I think that would be great. I mean, that's how we exploded in the first place. I think we're like one of the most popular horror films on Netflix right now. So if they didn't go with us, I would be shocked.
You know what? I could totally see Netflix picking it up because they have the original, and it would just make sense to have the sequel. But as well, you guys can use the success of the first one on Netflix if to pick up any distributor you wanted. Like, I honestly don't see that being a big of an issue. As maybe it would have been with the first one, where you guys were going
I think that the bigger issue will be the gore factor.
So you guys stepped it up.
Oh yeah.
And that's hard. That's hard though, because the first one is very fucking gory. So.
I think this ups the game on the gore factors. Like, we're not holding back. Like, it starts off in the first few minutes of the film. It's just like, what you're in for the rest of the film when it comes to gore. Like, when we're filming it, like, just the initial blow I did for the killing blow I made, Damian's like, Dave, you realize this would have been a whole entire kill right there in a Jason movie. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And then, like, we have so much more to do with this kill.
You know what? The MPAA in the 80s was running rampant on horror. And I know a lot of people are trying to work around it. But luckily, with the internet today and just how things have evolved, you guys are able to do something like that. And now I'm so excited. And I cannot wait. Where can people find you online, like your social media and stuff like that?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram under David Howard Thornton. And I have a Cameo page as well, especially since right now we can't do a lot of conventions right now. So I charge the same thing I do for an autograph on my table, $30 for a Cameo video.
Nice.
So, like, if you want me to wish, like, happy birthday or, give a pep talk or whatever, you can find me on Cameo and do that. Because, I think it's a great way to. I think, like, whoever came up with this idea of Cameo is a brilliant person. It's a great way for fans to be able to interact with the celebrities.
Yeah, like, otherwise,
more personal level.
Yeah, otherwise they could send emails or this or that, but things get lost and they don't always have time to look it over. I actually did not know that you had a Cameo, and it's funny because originally I got a hold of John Kassir through Cameo, and now we're we're friends now. So,
John's great.
Oh, dude, he's awesome. Like,
I freaking love John.
He'll send me random messages on Facebook with, like, the emoji with, like, the guy thumbs up. Like, I'll wake up in the morning and get it. Be like, oh, cool. Hey, thanks, Crypt Keeper. Like, just give me a little pep talk in the morning. That's awesome,
Oh, John's a sweetheart.
So now that you're on Cameo, obviously we're going to have to put that link on the Facebook page so people can, say what's up and get their little I think it's great for, like, birthdays, but the motivational speeches, like, when you get one of those from someone that you look up to, it can make your entire month. Man,
I've done some of those where I'm trying not to cry while I'm doing it because it'll be like a kid that has been bullied or something like that, and I'm like, because I was bullied growing up, so I'm just like, okay, or like someone had, for someone that has cancer or something, like, oh, okay, keep this.
Gee, yeah.
Yeah, because I lost my mom to cancer too, so that's one of those things that hits hard. So it's like, okay, time to use my real acting skills and not just become a blubbering mess right now.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't know I lost my father about 2 years ago to cancer as well, and
it's rough.
It's
very rough.
Losing a loved one, but losing a parent, especially one that has meant so much to you. This isn't a road that we need to be going down, but obviously.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I will say that that's what motivated me to do what I'm doing with my life, though. It's just like, because I had other friends that had lost parents as well. This happened when I was in college, and I saw them go down a dark path in life, and I'm like, that would be disrespect to my mom if I let that happen to me. And I was like, I'm going to let this motivate me to do more with my life and actually do something really cool. Because at the time I was just an elementary education major in college, and that's why I was just, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to teach in the classroom. And this really motivated me to, like, no, life is too short. I want to get out there and really try to do something spectacular with my life.
That is awesome. Like, and if anyone who's listening to this is down on themselves right now, just think of it like this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start doing podcasting till after my father passed away. Actually, I started recording music again to keep my head off of everything that was going on, and that evolved into this. When you lost your mom, you realized that you probably could have went down a bad path, but then you realized you could have just went down like a neutral path. You could have had a good job and this and that, like steady teaching and stuff like that, and you went even above and beyond that and said, I want to be known. I want to make, change people's lives. I want to make people, because that's what you're doing as an actor.
Yeah.
You're allowing people to escape, even if it's only for an hour or two, just escape a reality that they have to deal with every day,
Well, see, that's what acting was for me. That was my escape. I really threw myself into theater full time when all this was going on with my mom, because that was my escape from it all.
Yeah.
I for like a few hours, every rehearsal and every show, I got to be someone else. I wasn't the person dealing with that pain in my life. I got to be someone else. And that saved me.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it paid off, because look at you now. Look where you're at. Yep. So those moments of, anger or vulnerability, or sadness, it all paid off into what you're doing right now. So, like, we all applaud you, David.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Just keep up the good work. Don't ever walk away from art. I'm not saying no one else could ever portray him, but I'd rather not. I'd rather you. I want you guys to do enough movies where you guys have to go to the ghetto and space and, back in time, whatever. And you got to be art the entire time.
I would love to. The character's fun. That's the best part about it. He's such a fun character. So why would I want to turn that down?
Exactly. And like you said, with him not speaking, there's so much room for him to grow without having a voice. You know what I mean? I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see this teaser trailer of the actual movie. And you're saying hopefully within the next couple weeks. And obviously, I'll keep in touch with you as soon as we know a release date for the movie. We're gonna have to have you back on the show, and we're gonna have to talk a little bit more. I'll get my partners with me. We'll set up the video cameras. We'll make a night of it.
Oh, it sounds great, because there's so much I want to talk about that I'm not allowed to talk about yet.
Oh, son of a bitch. Well,
I know. Oh, it's hard. It's so hard.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is your incentive to make sure when you see the teaser trailer for Terrifier 2 come out, and you get a little bit of a release date, you got to come back to the GrindHaus, because maybe we can give a little bit of a sneak peek, or at least a little bit of a explanation of what's going on before the movie comes out. David Howard Thornton, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to, answer a few questions for the fans, and I cannot wait to have you back on.
Oh, thank you for having me. I can't wait to be back as well. We'll have a lot more to talk about. I guarantee that.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.